We got the action man, Chris Curtis, back here on the program. He's going to be making his debut for PFL on May 9th. He's taking on former middleweight champion, Lewis Taylor. Chris, how are you, man?
Dude, I'm good, man. Just living life, man. Tired. That last 2 weeks of camp, just ready to be done with it.
Yeah, and we're really excited to see you in this tournament, man. I think you're one of the favorites for sure. How did this all come together with you signing with PFL and being a participant in this season?
I got a call from Jason House from Iridium Sports Management, and he's like, we can put you in the PFL tournament like tomorrow. And I was like, what? He's like, yeah, Red Cefo's got one more spot to fill. He called us to fill it. So I was like, all right, I'll take it. And 2 days later, I'm in PFL. So, Iridium been talking to me for a long time. Really supportive guys. They really wanted to do something with me. They were, as shocked about me not getting the UFC as anybody else. And they called me like, look, just, give us a chance. We can do this. So I was like, all right, take the risk. And here I am.
Yeah, and I think your stock's even higher than it was on Contender Series. You had that fight with Matt Dwyer up in Canada, which was just a complete war. And I know that was a switch up for both of you guys with you having to move up a weight class. What was that whole experience like, getting that win at middleweight and, taking out a UFC vet and Matt Dwyer?
It was fun, man. It was unexpected with opponents going out, having to go up. But I fought at middleweight before. I started actually fighting the first time as a heavyweight, so I fought from heavyweight to 170. I'm a short guy, but I'm a pretty big 170. So going up wasn't too bad. Didn't have to cut weight. I was already at like 190, so that was great. And Dwyer posed some interesting challenges, 6'4". So how do you deal with that? But, I went in there. I fought my ass off. It was a fun fight, man. I loved it. And it was just nice to get back in there, get back to fighting, pick up another win. And then this happened. So I'm like, you know what? Couldn't have now I'm headlining ESPN cards. I'm like, things worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, it really has. And, to be on ESPN, that's such a huge plus as well. Just one more quick thing on the fight from Canada. Was there any talk from the UFC at all after that or no? Because I figured, at the very least, getting a win over a UFC vet, I mean, that has to get their attention a little bit.
I could kill a man and they wouldn't care.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. I don't know whose coffee I pissed in, whose Cheerios I pissed in, but they just like, not a word, so I don't care anymore. It's whatever. Like, they can go do them. I don't need their fight kit.
And here you are in PFL getting a really good matchup right off the bat against Lewis Taylor. Now, you must have been pretty familiar with him as well because you fought Bilal Muhammad, and I know they're really close. They've trained together. Were you aware of Lewis when you took this fight?
I hadn't had a matchup yet. They were just like, you want me in the tournament? And I'm like, sure, whatever, fine. Why wouldn't I? And then Ray hits me up about a few weeks later. He's like, you've been around the block a long time. You got more experience than a lot of people. He was like, it's a big card, the first show on ESPN. So he's like, I want you and Taylor to headline it. And I was like, oh, hell yeah. It's cool. And then, he's fought. He's trained with Bilal, who my arch nemesis, which I've got like weird old beef with Bilal. I don't even remember why anymore, but it's like whatever. But, it'll be good to get that one back. So I'm sure, they talked about it. And he's like, oh, Bilal beat him. I can beat him. But that was me from 4 or 5 years ago. It's a completely different animal now.
And what I like about this matchup, too, is you were two guys that, again, I think the UFC missed the ball on them. Lewis was supposed to fight in the UFC as well, and he went out there and just won the middleweight tournament. How do you feel like you match up against him here?
I think it's going to be great. He got screwed by the UFC, too. He got signed, then he hurt his back, and they, cut him immediately.
See you later. Yeah, it's stupid.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Whatever. So, honestly, screw them, because he walked away with $1 million check, so who's really laughing in this? But, I think it's a great matchup, man. We definitely pose different problems. He's got a wrestling background, but he's known for that big right hand, that big left hand, but, he doesn't have a wrestling background. I've never been knocked out. I'm not going to be knocked out. And, honestly, if it comes up to a stand-up fight, having a big left hand isn't enough to beat me. A lot of people have found that out. Having one or two big punches isn't going to stop me. So, I mean, it's interesting. I think he's going to come in. I think he's going to throw that left hand. Not going to work. And he's going to go to wrestle. I'm going to stuff him and beat the hell out of him. If it goes to the ground, I'm a better grappler. I know I am. And, I'll strangle him. I'm out here training with Pat Cummings and Vinny Magalish. He's not going to out-grapple me.
Now, where are you training right now?
I moved to Las Vegas, man. I'm at a full-time primary gym is at Syndicate. I do some other stuff at Extreme Couture, but primarily at Syndicate and 10th Planet, the Swamp, Las Vegas.
Very cool. What prompted that move?
Just situations with like people change and everything, and it's a big opportunity. And then relationships with certain groups of people haven't really like have changed. So I'm just like, you know what, I can't afford to not take the best opportunity I can have. And people can't accept that. It is what it is. So, I came out here. I've trained in Vegas before. I love the atmosphere. I love the work, the sheer amount of bodies and talent, out here is insane in one place. So I was like, you know what? If I'm going to do this, I'm going to win a million. I'm going to go all in. So I moved to Vegas. I get along really well with Coach John Wood, man. He's really, he's a really great coach, really good dude. I get along with him great. We got good chemistry. So ended up in Vegas. Here I am.
Do you ever try and sneak into the PI to just get one back on the UFC?
Dude, I'm at the PI every day, honestly.
Well, I guess you're on like a guest pass because if you're a UFC fighter, even if you're like, you haven't fought, you can, I think you get a couple passes to go. Yeah.
Well, it's weird too because like my fingerprint occasionally works on things, and I'm not sure what that's about. It's just very, I don't know. I feel like I've got a weird relationship with the UFC to where it's kind of just like, you can fall through the cracks and we just won't acknowledge you. So I don't know. In my head, it's their way of saying sorry. So I'm just like, all right, like.
Okay, that's good. Lewis is a professional. You talked about that, but this is his first fight at 170. Does that concern you at all that he might not make weight for this fight?
Is it his first? I thought I saw he's fought at 70 like years ago.
I checked his record. I'm pretty sure, and if it was, it would have been like early in his career. But he hasn't fought in a while, and as you know, as you get older, it's tougher to cut weight. And Lewis, he's not he's not like a spring chicken or anything. And I don't mean that in a bad way. But are there concerns about the weight cut? But if he comes in overweight.
If he comes in overweight, I'm not fighting him. Like we're professionals. It's a tournament. I'm not sacrificing what I worked for because somebody else couldn't do their job. At the same time, I can't see him not making weight, man. You've got a million. Yeah, he's 40, but I mean, look at the dude. He's a disciplined dude. I think he's disciplined. I think he's mentally tough. He's got $1 million in resources to make the weight. There's no reason. I'm doing it, on a freaking hamstrung budget, like, struggling. So I can't imagine him missing weight. I can't.
Yeah,
genuinely.
and he's known about fighting at 170 for a while because they announced really early on, even before the ESPN deal, that they were getting rid of the middleweights. It seems so. So I think he knew that this was going to happen. So that should lead to him making weight.
I can't imagine it.
Do you think the cut though will impact him? I know you cut a lot of weight as well, but I think that's again, when it's your first time in a big situation like this, it can be difficult.
I don't know, man. Like, so part of me is like, the fighter in me and the intelligent part of me realizes that. Oh, sorry, loud boy.
No worries. It's all good, man. I just appreciate you being here. It's all good.
No problem. The fighter in me realizes that like it's gonna have an impact. Like, even on a good weight cut, you feel it. And cutting down for the first time in a long time, you're gonna feel it. At the same time, though, I can't. I'm just gonna. I've trained like he's not because I think it's an idiot. I think it's like idiotic to like, man, bank on he's gonna be weak from the cut. It's kind of like people who are like, oh, I don't want people to see me and my old fight footage before I fight. I'm like, so you're banking on surprising a guy at this point in your career? Like that's I'm banking on me being good. I'm banking on me being one of the greatest people in the sport. That's my goal. I think I'm one of the best fighters on the planet. I'm gonna bank on my skill set, not hoping that like he's tired and old.
Yeah. Okay. And how's the cut going for you ahead of this fight?
I'm at the 188 this morning, so I usually cut down from 187. So I'm about a little bit under 2 weeks out, like 12 days out, and I'm a pound away from my cutting position. So I'm good. Like it's going to be easy. I think by the time I start my water load and get ready, I'll probably be about 185, 184. It's going to be easy. It should be easy.
Who's going to be in your corner for this fight?
Sean Strickland and Coach John Wood. I've known Sean for a long time. He's training for about 3 years now. I've been training with him. He's one of my main guys. It's just interesting cat, that guy. But, I always say if you only have one person to help train for a fight in a camp, it would be Sean Strickland. Just good friend, good head on his shoulders, really understands the game. So I have him in my corner, and then Coach John's going to be in my corner as well.
How do you see this fight playing out? You feel like you're going to get your hand raised, but how do you see it unfolding?
I honestly, in my heart, I'm gonna stop him in two. Like, I'm gonna stop him in two. I think he's gonna be strong in that first round. That's fine. I mean, I've spent months adjusting the way I fought. It kind of sucks because I didn't get to show it in the Dwyer fight just because 6'4" is a very interesting problem to tackle on a week's notice. But outside of that, the way I fight and the way I just it's changed. I've made so many changes. I'm so happy. I'm so proud of the work, man. And I've done a lot with starting faster. The way I condition is different. The way I train is different. I have traditionally been great in a 5-round fight. Start slow, but I get stronger. Now, in a fight, I'm starting fast. I'm more aggressive. Everything's different. We've made so many changes, and I'm gonna be too much. I'm too much for most people, but I'm gonna be too much for them on the knife.
Who do you think is the biggest challenge in this season, not named Chris Curtis?
I don't really know. So I'm like, I really I had to look at the roster again. Like there was a lot of names on here. I was like, man, some good people. Um, the Russian, the champion, whose name I won't butcher. No disrespect if you sees it. I can't say your name. I'm not gonna butcher it. Uh, he's a problem. He's a problem. It's we're gonna have to solve at some point. So we've already looked into that. Thought about that for a while. Ray Cooper's going to be a fun fight if I get that. That'll be a really fun fight. That's a exciting fight for me. And then apparently there's like a kickbox, like some like glory kickboxer or K1 kickboxer in this, who I don't know. That'll be interesting. But I think the Russians by far are the biggest obstacle to overcome.
And not looking too far ahead of here, but I'm sure it's crossed your mind is the second you sign pen to paper. December 31st, if you win this whole thing, what are you doing with $1 million?
Man, I've already laughed. It's like my first initial knee-jerk reaction is I want to buy a tiger. Like I really want to buy a tiger. Like I don't. Everybody's like, why? I'm not even an animal person. I just feel like it's what you do when you like make $1 million. But the intelligent part of me is like, I'm not a fancy guy. I don't need much. Take care of my kids, make sure my kids are provided for. I want to get my own house. I feel like at 31 I should own property. So like, I'll buy a house, pay my mom's house off, and then just sit, happily with my money and wait around for the next tournament.
Well, and I think housing prices in Vegas are pretty good right now, from what I hear.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, man, it's way more affordable than I thought it was.
Yeah, which is great, and you get the good weather with it, right? So that's
Yeah, right. Oh God, I'm so glad to be out of Ohio weather. Not such not a fancy dude, man. Just I just like my stuff. So I have a little house, nice little house, nothing too crazy. Like money in the bank, kids taken care of, maybe a tiger.
Before I let you go, actually, I do have one more thing. Have you noticed the sponsorships have been a little bit better with the fact they have the ESPN deal now? Because that seems to be a big, feather in your cap with this tournament, or this season, I should say.
I would say yes. I say would. Emphasis would, because certain sponsor stipulations completely gutted me. Yeah, my two biggest sponsors were going to be an alcohol company and a CBD company, which both don't make the cut. So I lost a lot of money.
Oh, damn. Okay.
It's one of those things where it's happened. There's a lot of good people out there. I've got some other sponsors who are picking up the slack and helping me out and get through camp. So next fight is going to, I think, will be a little bit better now that we know, and we can kind of plan around it. But yeah, but it is what it is. But I think it's going to pick up, especially after I get this win, the World's on ESPN. I think it's going to come really easy.
Why? What was the you don't have to go into too much detail, but what were the reasons that they fell out? Is there like a strict rule you can only have a certain sponsor for it? Like how does that work?
You can't. I think either ESPN or PFL has it out. I think PFL already has a liquor sponsor and alcohol sponsor, so you can't have I guess competing stuff. And then I'm assuming ESPN's like no on anything with cannabis.
Oh my gosh, that's so silly. CBD is even legal. You can take it, right? So
I don't know. I think it's just like the cannabis part where I don't know like the stipulations on it. They're just like it can't have anything with cannabis. I'm like, well, unfortunately, guess what? So. Uh, it's unfortunate, but it's whatever. Life goes on. We'll work around it. We'll figure it out.
all the reason to win that $1 million. And it starts here on May 9th. Chris, always appreciate the time, man. Just remind people where they can find you on social media. And if you have any sponsors or shout outs, the floor is yours.
Oh, of course. You guys can find me on Facebook at Chris Curtis. You can find me on Twitter at ActionMan513. You can also find me on Instagram at ActionMan513. I've made it easy for you guys. On Facebook, should I hit my fan page? I'm trying to use it more. I suck at using it. I'm getting better, I promise. But it's just easier there because my Facebook is already insane. Like people sending me random things now. Big shout out back home to Triple Crown CrossFit. Damian Tannenbaum and those guys, they've been big supporters of me. They've helped me out when things have gone really bad. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. Evolution Functional Fitness Warehouse, Adam Miller. Thank you guys again. Same as the Triple Crown. You guys have really helped me get through a lot of stuff. Thanks for all my friends, fans and family, everything, man. You guys, especially right now, financially is in a bind. I had a lot of people come through and help me out. Just want to say I appreciate it all and I love you guys, man. Thank you.